YouTube family, welcome back to another episode of ItzChrisJones Speak. I am Chris Jones. I am Chris Jones. I know that before I had that little spiel about changing, but we just gonna keep it original. Apparently there is multiple channels or users that's titled I'm Chris Jones, but there's only one, it's Chris Jones, and that is moi. But today's episode is a question that I'm gonna go in depth about, but it's a simple question. Is it me or is it gaming? Now, this is a simple question, but yet you can have so many different answers of it. Is it me or is it gaming? Is it me or is it my expectations? Did I just get older or did the games get worse? I'm pretty sure these are all questions that most of us ask ourselves. And I'm sure that a lot of us I'm sure a lot of us can answer that question quickly, just off of straight emotion, while others take time to answer that question because it's an actual thought to bring up. Most of us have had our genre of games that we've played since childhood. Everyone that has been a part of this channel can see and have been told by me what my genre of games are. You have your genre, they have their genre, she has her genre, so on and so forth, right? And we as gamers tend to stick to our genre throughout our gaming lives, really. You know, there are some moments where we step outside of the box and we play something that's outside of our genre and typically have fun. While the majority of the time, people recommend something outside of our genre and we don't necessarily have the fun in it that everyone else seems to be having. Now, granted, that may be to just us and our comfortability and what we like to do, and then that game just doesn't match what we like to do. Or it could be because that game just is not we just don't like that game. We just don't see that game in the same light as everything else. Example, Elden Ring. Elden Ring, I believe, just as of yesterday, won Game of the Year. Everyone raved about Elden Ring, saying it's one of the greatest games that's been out in a long time. It was one of the hardest games. It was all over YouTube, all over Twitch, rage compilations, all that good stuff. But I never looked at Elden Ring and said, you know, that's a game I want to try out. That's a game that looks cool. I never looked at it and said that. Say the same thing about God of War. God of War is a game that PlayStation players live by. Like that, most PlayStation players live by. Like that's the PlayStation exclusive. A lot of people get PlayStations just to play that game. People upload that game. The storyline to that game is great. And granted, I did watch it. I did watch some gameplay and some walkthroughs of that game. But for some reason, it just lost my interest later. You know, it lost my interest later. And, you know, I think part of it is because some storyline games like God of War, for instance, they have a repetitive nature to them, but it's like, well, you know, look at the 3 games you play. It's nothing but repetitive nature, which is true. It is true. But the difference with my games is even though it's a repetitive nature, it's a different outcome every time. You know what I'm saying? Like in Madden and Call of Duty and 2K, yes, the nature of the game does not necessarily change, but the people you play do. You know what I'm saying? Now you may play people who in these games who may lack certain knowledge in that game, and then you play people who are very knowledgeable in that game, and then you play people who may be knowledgeable in that game but not very knowledgeable. You see what I'm saying? So every game kind of, like takes you to a different space per se. And then you have like those single player games that are very repetitive, like God of War, Assassin's Creed, games like that, where the whole gist of the game is, God of War. God of War is, it teaches I can probably tell you what God of War is like just based off of how far I watched into the gameplay. After I watched into the walkthrough campaign, what happens is the game teaches you how to play at first. Now you go on this journey throughout the game where it's rinse and repeat. You go to a board, a map, a level. You fight a bunch of, regular enemies who tend to get typically stronger. You just loot and kill those enemies to get yourself stronger. Then you have a big boss battle at the end of the fight. You go back home and you do the same thing in another world. Until the very end of the game where, according to that prophecy, I think they called it in that game, God of War or Kratos actually dies. Right. I never got to the end, so I don't really know how that necessarily happens, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the game is just more of that. Just get to a board, fight, collect, get your weapon stronger, fight a boss, go back. And that's the whole game. Assassin's Creed, another great single player game from back in the day, kind of seemed to be the same way. Go to a city, walk around the city, do some side missions, do that, but the end goal, you are just assassinating some prominent figure, and then you just go to another city or town or time of essence or time of the world and do the same thing. The games that I tend to enjoy a lot more, tend to enjoy playing and tend to enjoy watching a lot more would be those interactive games. Those games that decisions affect the way the game plays. Decisions affect outcomes. Decisions, like, not everybody can have the same ending in this game. Those are games that I tend to like. But it's very rough now. I think I've probably stated this before. I think gaming is in its best spot, but in its worst time. Does that make sense? Like, when I was a kid, the stuff that I thought about in games, or the games that I was playing at that time, has came to pass today. I remember playing Call of Duty and couldn't stand that I couldn't sprint the entirety of a game, of a match. You would only be able to sprint for about 3 seconds, then have to walk for like 3 to 5 seconds before you could sprint again. Then you had to use perks like marathon and lightweight to try to extend that sprint. That's why Battlefield used to be so different for me, because Battlefield, you could sprint all the time. I love the how buildings and maps look completely different from the start of a Battlefield game to the end of a Battlefield game. But the thing is, you've been so hooked on the quickness of a Call of Duty game that a Battlefield game seems long. Call of Duty matches are 5 to 10 minutes of constant action. Then you have Battlefield, who kind of slows it down completely. Now Battlefield has 25-minute games on bigger maps that gives you more travel time and everything else, but the experience is based off of what you like. 2K went from a game where your NBA career was nothing but just clicks. You just click, play next game, get some key games. You can play every key game. The little N2K Insider will pop up on the side of your screen, tell you a little bit about something, so on and so forth. You have interviews at the end of games, at the press conference, where you just got to choose one of 4 answers. Boom, that's it. And then they merged into storylines. But then their storylines became fixed storylines where everybody experienced the same story. And now we're in a space where the city is huge, everything's humongous, everything is just great. Gameplay seems to be at its highest and everything is just going well. And then for some reason, you just don't play the game no more. And we're not even going to speak about the game that EA makes because that is probably one of the worst games that a human being could probably play is Madden. But nonetheless, that's why I asked the question. Is it me? Am I just getting older? Is my mind starting to shift from gaming as a whole? Or is it that I have to start to change some genres and kind of just play and go with things that I like to do instead of trying to fit in, I guess you can say, to the meta and try to catch a wave of something that's already starting? You know what I'm saying? Or is it just the gaming in general? Are games becoming worse? I feel like a lot of us can relate. And I feel like a lot of us all have a thought that we are now paying for betas. I think developing companies now, gaming companies now, have no longer used the quality over quantity approach, and it's the quantity over quality approach now. A lot of games, I feel like they come undone, unfinished, and then they decide to update through their game, and that's it. A lot of them follow the Fortnite formula. I think a lot of them follow the Fortnite formula. The difference is Fortnite was free. Fortnite cost nobody any money to play. You see what I'm saying? And it became one of the biggest games in this world at a point in time, right? But for you to put your unfinished game behind a $70, $100, $150 paywall and then think that you're just going to update it throughout the course of the lifespan, the year lifespan that most games get, it's not, I don't think it's a sustained recipe for success. I think it's a moment in time where you get to be on top of the world because of your sales. But then again, like, your game really sucks. Like, people are looking for an out for your game, but a lot of these games are so much of a monopoly now that there's really no out, Like, Call of Duty has no competition. You know what I'm saying? It has no competition. It has no war-like simulation of real-life war-like game that's worth trying. You got Battlefield, but I mean, Battlefield was in such, when your gaming company has to send out like apologetic posts about the things wrong with their game, your game is not good. You know what I'm saying? Your game is not good. But like I said, man, it could just be me. It may just be time for me to start utilizing my PC and going on Steam and finding games that may possibly work. But this is where demos come in. Games stop giving you demos. Games stop giving you demos, stop giving you little like teasers to see if you want to play the game. I don't want to buy a game, spend $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, however much this game costs. I don't want to spend money on that game and I don't even play it past the first 10 minutes. Now that's a waste of $20, $50, $60, $70. That's just gone. I could have bought DoorDash with that, Uber Eats with that. I could have got some food with that. Instead, I spent it on your trash game, and now I cannot get that money back. So, it's a rough spot to be in. It's a very, very rough spot to be in. And as you age, right? Or I can only speak for me. As I age, my mentality is shifting. You know, I don't play, I will say I don't play the game as much now as I did before. I would even say probably about 3 years ago, I played the game a lot more than I do now. Now it's kind of, I play the game for a purpose now. Definitely play the game to upload, but I haven't had a game that I thoroughly enjoyed to the point where I get on that game and can get lost in it for hours, you know. Granted, the games that I play, it's hard to do that. But maybe if I went into different modes in the game, you may see stuff different. But I feel like we're in a situation, a generation now that they don't want to watch you play computers necessarily. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to watch you play AIs all the time. You know, I think that we're in a place now where people enjoy seeing your face and enjoy seeing you play a bad game against somebody else who is exploiting that game for everything that it is not worth. I think that's where the content lies. People enjoy that because I think people would rather watch you do it than them experience it themselves, you know? But how do I do that? You know, like where should I start with games? You know, where should I start? What genre of game should I start with? You know, I know a lot of people like horror games, but I'm not really a horror guy. You know, I can watch horror games, but to be immersed in a horror game myself, I don't think it would do well. Or it would probably do well, but I don't think I would finish that game because I would be too scared to finish it. And to be honest with you, I'd be too scared to finish it. And you know, even now, if I want a fresh start in every game that I have, the game is so late and it's so late. It's so, you know what I'm saying? And it's expensive. All the games that, like, the modes that I would like to play, like, you know, maybe Ultimate Team or My Team or, you know, stuff like that. Getting into different sports games, you know, maybe golf, maybe MLB, stuff like that. Like, there's no real, you know what I'm saying? There's no real, thing to it. You know what I'm saying? There's no real purpose for it. You know, I don't have the funds to necessarily just blow a bag on Ultimate Team. Nor do I really want to waste the time on putting all this time and effort into something and then you don't even get rewarded for it. You know, I see that there's a lot of no money spent people out there, but their teams aren't up to par really. Like, they're up to par, but they're not up to par. But it's something to think about. It's something to think about. I think a lot of times I'll have an idea and then I'll share it. Then I end up getting talked out of it, or a seed gets planted in my ear that kind of steers me away from that idea. I think I need to start keeping ideas in myself, to be honest with you. But I am open right now to hear any suggestions for those of you who watch this podcast episode or listen to this podcast episode. I am open to ideas of some games that you would like to see me play based off of the personality that I have when I play the game. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I have nothing against single player games. It's just the repetitive single player games that kind of, kind of steer me away from them. I have all three systems, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So there's probably not a game out there that I could not play. I guess you got the Switch exclusive game, something like that. But there's not a game out there I can't play. I even thought about doing the Gears of War series because I remember I grew up on that. But like I said, y'all, and not y'all directly, but the gaming community is just in a weird space. Like, if you're not uploading Warzone and you're not teaching people how to play Warzone, or what's the best gun in Warzone, the best loadouts in Warzone, or ranting about how bad a game sucks, like I used to do, then the space for you is, I feel like the space for you is limited. And I can't necessarily, I don't necessarily rant about games. That's why you haven't seen a rant in such a long time, because I don't even give these games a chance to make me that mad anymore, to where I just come and sit down and talk in front of a mic like I used to do. That's all my rants used to do. I would be playing a game for countless hours, get so fed up and so angry that I just had to get that emotion off of my chest, which then turned into a rant. But like, I just don't have that energy no more. You know how many times I play Madden and just dashboard the game, just quit right out of the game. And then it's crazy because I usually quit out the game when some type of exploiting is going on, and every time you quit out the game, the person who's exploiting has the nerve to sometimes send you a message laughing or asking why you quit or all this other stuff. It's like, why I quit. And that's the thing that really makes me mad so much, is the fact that I have a screen and you have a screen. We both seen what just happened on that screen, but one person becomes oblivious to what just happened. I've never seen somebody get some cheese or something go off in the game and then they be like, oh no. Oh no. This game sucks. I don't deserve that. This game is really trash. That is horrible. You never see that type of humility, do you? No. When they get some cheese, it's always, let's go, a beast, right? But then when somebody else gets some cheese on them, that's where this game sucks comes out at. You know what I'm saying? But that's another story for another day. That's another story for another day. But like I said, man, it's just a weird space. I'm in just a weird space. My channel right now has just been surviving off of my Madden franchise videos. That's really the only thing that I still have enjoyment in playing, because it's still the fact of building a team from the ground up, And I guess that's what my team is for. You're technically building a team from the ground up, but you're not really building a team. My team in those modes like that is really just about how much you gonna spend to build your team. You know what I'm saying? How much you gonna spend? And that's another thing. What's the word I'm looking for? Variety. That's very lacked in like any game out right now, is the variety. It's very, very lacked right now. Everything is meta based. In the game, I feel like games aren't intended to be meta based per se, but everybody gets their content and their love off of finding that meta. You know what I'm saying? Instead of finding something and sharing it amongst your group in a private session, it's find something and share it to the world. You know what I'm saying? And now we in a space where everybody's doing the same exact thing. That's why I think that's why there's a point in time where there's not that many millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if everybody was taught how to be a millionaire and everybody became a millionaire, then what would money be? You see what I'm trying to get? Like, what would be the worth of the money if everybody that you spoke to is a millionaire? You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother deeper conversation for anything else. But if you relate it to gaming, that's why I feel like that's why these games end up getting washed out and these games end up getting boring and these games end up getting so aggravating, is because literally every time you play it, it's the same thing that you're facing. It's the same thing that you're facing. I'm telling you, this is the pre-stages of robotic energy. They're already trying to create robots. They're trying to all get us on the same page of being a robot. And this is the way of doing it. Through gaming is creating metas. And they already know that us gamers, we're already susceptible to robotic gameplay. Most of us, the majority of us are accepted to robotic gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I do this one thing works. I'm going to keep doing it until this works. That be the mindset of some people. While other people has a mindset is like, okay, that works. I'm going to put that in the that works pile. And then, oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to put this in the don't work pile and keep trying new things and separating them by the piles. And then eventually, once you go through everything, you have a pile of things that work and a pile of things that don't work. And then you take the pile of things that work and then you apply it to the situation that's at hand. Right? That seems like a logical thing to do, right? Instead, you just get the individuals who just kind of be like, well, this is the best. And everybody just uses the best. This is the best method. Everybody does the best method, gets the same results, and then be like, this game is stale. Well, you want to know why this game is stale? Because you are going against somebody else that's doing the exact same thing as you. And then that's when people be like, well, isn't that where the skill gap comes in? If I can use this and you use the same thing, that must mean the winner is the more skilled player. Right? And that could be true. That could be true. But why would we even get to that spot though? Why do we have to get to that space where everybody has to do everything the same way? In a game, in games that have variety. All these games got so many different options and none of them work. Now, do you blame the gaming company or do you blame the community that goes through all of that and then shares that information with everybody in the community? You see what I'm saying? It's a rough spot to be in, man. It's a rough spot because I'm sure a lot of us have found ourselves on different websites and different YouTube videos to do the same thing, to find out what works. And then when we use something, it don't work. Then you try to find that person that's off the meta, and then their version of the game or the way that they see the game is similar to the way you see the game, but what they're doing just doesn't work for you. Or it works for you until you play that person who plays with the absolute meta of a game, and now you're cooked. You're cooked. Because you're off meta, they're on meta. There's nothing you can do about it because they exploit the game more than you do. You try to respect the integrity and respect the game as a whole. And sometimes you have people who see a glitch in a game and be like, oh, that's a glitch. I'm not even going to do that because that's a glitch. While others see that same glitch and laugh at it and they keep doing it to everybody. Like it's just some type of thing. And then they say, well, it's the developer's fault. And it's like, that could be true, but who's to say that matter of fact, I will go back on this statement and say, you're right, it is developers' fault, because they don't even take the time to check their game to try to get rid of it of all bugs. Now, granted, every game is going to have some type of bug, right? But the bugs that these games have nowadays seem like this is just a lack of follow-up bugs. There's no reason why a bug is in a game, the game updates that specific bug and something else breaks. That should not happen at all. That should not happen at all. And then like I said, we're just in a different generation and time now where folks just spend countless hours trying to find the next exploit just to bring some notoriety to their name or their brand or something. Look, I feel like the cost of fame and notoriety ain't that important. I feel like if you're craving it that much, once you get it, you're going to be unhappy. Because you have a narrative in your head that this is what it's going to do. Like, it's going to get you some extra thing, or maybe get you your dream girl or your dream house, your dream car, or whatever. And it may do that. But at the end of the day, once everything hits the fan and now the demand starts to become higher than what you're willing to do or what you're trying to do or what you want to do, conflict is going to happen. Conflict's going to happen. And then when the conflict happens, you're going to be in a space that is toxic. And then that's where you see a lot of people be like, oh, I'm taking a break from this. This is becoming too much. And I can't keep dealing with this and all that other stuff. But it's just like, well, you allowed it to get there because you were craving it so bad. Like this whole channel, the reason why I enjoy it and I like it as much as I do is because it's organically grown or organically growing. Only thing I do is every upload I do, I share to Twitter and I add a bot page called Blaze Retweets to just retweet the video. And I'm on the verge of deleting all social media and just having YouTube. And, you know, being able to steer and direct the channel based off of the comments and the growth on that alone, you know. But I have not reached that stage yet completely, because even though Twitter, as toxic as Twitter is also a news space. It kind of keeps you up to date with a lot of things going on around the world, not only you, but the world, in entertainment, in gaming, in sports. Like everything's right there, quick. But it's just, Twitter is also a social media page, a space where an individual just feels the need to say that they feel the need that they can say anything that they want because you don't know who they are. And then you have people who just professionally do that, professional trolls or professional like just people who just want to see reactions out of people just because they know they can do that. And people are so sensitive nowadays about certain stuff, and they'll stand on that rock until they die on that rock because they don't even, I truly believe some people on the internet nowadays don't even believe half the stuff they saying. They just saying it because it's giving them attention. An attention seeker is the worst type of person to ever run into, because they would do anything to get any reaction out of people. Anything. And that's just, I just feel like that's just, you know, that's really just a waste of whole life, really. But who am I? I'm just a struggling YouTube channel on YouTube, trying to find my niche and find my lane and connect to individuals out there who feel the same way that I do and enjoy the same type of stuff that I do, the same type of games that I do, the same type of narratives that I do, and, you know, move on from there. eventually I'm going to reach a space as I close this episode down. Eventually I'm going to reach a space where I will be happy in gaming. I think eventually I'll reach a space where, my gaming will slow down. I wouldn't say slow down, but it'll be one game, really, that one game during a season. And by a season, I mean just the season of that game. I may start to do the thing where I play one game thoroughly, entirely through. Try to unlock every achievement in a game, and then that way you can say, I'm done with this game. Like, there would be no reason for you to play this game anymore outside of enjoyment, I guess. But at that rate, you should have logged so many hours onto that game or into that game that you really shouldn't even play no more if you already reached your goal that you feel like the game is set. But I don't know, man. Until then, I'm just gonna have to stay in this weird space and figure it out. Work myself through this space. Work myself through this time. See what happens and see what works. See if I can find something else to enjoy and pass my time. See if I can find a game or a mode that brings the excitement back to gaming. Or maybe that excitement would never come back because as time goes on, I'm just getting older, so maybe that excitement would never come back. But I believe there's definitely some game genre or games out there that fit a genre or a narrative or can relate to people in my position who feel the love of gaming starting to like go away, to decease. But it's all just a matter of time, and time is the greatest thing. Time is the longest yet the shortest space that you could ever think of. Time, when somebody says give it time, that can mean seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, decades, centuries. You just don't know. But yet and still you have to live it. You have to live the time. You have to go through the time, but you don't know how long your time is. But it's time nonetheless. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give it time. I'm going to give it time, give it thought, and just figure out exactly where this channel is going to go, because I feel like it's going into a wall right now, because the games that I am uploading are games that I'm no longer enjoying, or the modes that I'm uploading are modes that I'm no longer enjoying. So I have to try to recapture and find some new excitement within the games that I play. So I appreciate you guys for making it this far, for those of you that did. And I'm not going to talk your ear off any longer. I just had to get that off my mental, because it was starting to become overwhelming. But until next time, and until the next episode, ItzChrisJones is signing out.